Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Stuff You Should Know About podcast. This is our very first episode, and I am your host, Hadley. Today we will be talking about the National Service Program known as AmeriCorps, and in particular the branch known as FEMA Corps. Our guest today has quite a lot of experience with national service. He has served 2 10-month terms with FEMA Corps, the first as a Corps member and the second as a team leader. Currently, he is a community health volunteer with the Peace Corps in Swaziland. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Patrick. Okay, Patrick, thank you for joining us today. And for anyone who does not know what FEMA Corps is, do you mind giving us a brief summary of the program?
I'm more than happy to do so. So FEMA Corps is an AmeriCorps-based program that focuses on engaging youth, young Americans, ages 18 to 24, sometimes a little bit older, experiential-based learning. And through that experiential-based learning, they have opportunities to explore their skill sets they already have and to develop leadership skills and to really step outside their comfort zone into new areas and meet new individuals and explore new communities. And all of this is done through the vein of working with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, as well as the Red Cross, and local, state, and emergency management agencies. So this is done over about 10 to 11 months, and at the finish, when they complete their service, they get a nice diploma telling them they've done great work. They have a year of memorable experiences that they can really build on, and then they also receive a education award. It's a bit over $5,500 at the time I did it, which can be used to pay for school or furthering their education or paying off loans they had beforehand. So that's kind of like FEMA in about a minute, or FEMA Corps in a minute.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Can you tell us now about the projects that your team completed during your first term of service?
So the first project we did as a team when I was a Corps member was working in the Denton and Oklahoma area on a project called Ready, Steady, Strong, which was disaster preparedness for communities and for schools and children and individuals. Basically just an outreach campaign to get people thinking about how they can better prepare themselves before disasters happen. Because you're never more susceptible to a disaster if you haven't prepared for it. Like, if you're ready for it, if you're aware of it, then you can take steps to empower yourself and to support your community. Instead of being a victim, you can be a victor. So that was the first project. It was pretty challenging, working with a group and having to learn to present for a lot of folks. But that was also kind of the interest, the fun. Our second project had us based on the border of Texas and Mexico, working with children who had been coming from Central America into Texas, from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. Basically, we as a team were working as kind of caregivers, checking in with children, giving them adult attention, speaking to them, letting them know what was going on, because there were all these children staying in detention centers, and they didn't know what was going on. They had been transported by coyotes and human traffickers into the States, and there were thousands of them. They were just being held. They had no idea what was going on. So it was a bit of a human crisis going on, and it was really challenging for me and a lot of other Corps members. Imagine that you walk into a detention center, which is like a small prison, and there's these glass walls, and behind these glass walls are just a couple hundred kids in a small concrete room sleeping on Mylar blankets, or bawling their eyes out, or arguing with each other. Really just like a picture of misery. And you have these 18 to 24-year-olds coming in who mostly don't speak Spanish, especially not fluently, and they're expected to start making these kids feel like they have some attention and can have positive human interaction, while Border Patrol finds out where their families are. some people and really negative for some individuals, really positive for others. And for me, it was a largely positive experience because I realized you go into a place like this, working with people who have no expectations, just like children, like their first experience is their best or their worst. And so for them, it's just been the worst and they are miserable. And you get to put smiles on their faces. You get them laughing and you get them talking about themselves. You learn a little bit of Spanish, they learn some English, and you start making connections. And suddenly things have gone from being the worst to only kind of bad. And that was really, really empowering. And that was a scary step for me to realize that I have that power as an individual and that I can help shape other people's lives and really grow myself at the same time. That was basically when I decided that I would probably do something else in my life and do the Peace Corps, because that was the scariest moment for me, the biggest trial. It also was when I really saw the value in working with AmeriCorps, when it really clicked and connected for me. And I really pushed far outside of my comfort zone, and I embraced it. And man, that was just so powerful. I'm not happy that kids were in the situation, but I'm really happy that I got to be there to support them, and also to support my other teammates. It's a really difficult time. After that project, the team went to DC for our third project, which was basically to support doing the Ready, Steady, Strong program at a national level, helping to refine it and redesign it. People worked in different areas on that. Some people didn't have a lot of work because we were working at FEMA headquarters in DC, and they were really trying to learn how to incorporate us at a time when there wasn't any actual natural disasters occurring, and they hadn't figured out how to incorporate the young individuals who don't necessarily have a background in bureaucratic work into the system. So it was pretty interesting and slow for a lot of people. But I didn't find it very negative. I really had a lot of fun. I really got to dive into two different personal projects. One of them was really refining and creating a specific project in terms of just explaining what FEMA Corps and AmeriCorps is to FEMA staff, who a lot of them work temporarily, right? So they only get called into work when there's been an event. Otherwise, the other 9/10 of the year, they're at home doing their other job or with their families, etc. These people come out and suddenly they see all these young, fresh faces, and there can be a real fear that these youth are coming to take jobs away from them. So, kind of crossing that barrier and doing positive relationship building with FEMA staff and FEMA reservists, people who are called up in these situations, was one of the first projects I worked on. And that was a lot of fun. The second project I worked on was kind of capacity building within FEMA Corps for delivering Ready, Steady, Strong presentations. So I just designed a few different 1-hour-long skills building workshops for public speaking and confidence. And I got to practice these and work on them with about 6 different FEMA Corps teams. And that was also really cool. It helped me connect skills that I had learned in high school as well as at college, where I did a lot of theater, right? But I hadn't used that time thinking about the theater being a constructive thing for me, where it would come back and help me out in the future, and connect it with professional goals and work, and help me realize some of the value that I had been dismissing, and that was empowering.
Wow, it sounds like your team accomplished a lot of really amazing work and explored a lot of different areas. Now, what was it exactly that motivated you to return for a second term of service as a team leader?
So the big motivation for me to come back as a team leader was mostly based in the experience I had in my second project, working with the children who would come across the border into the United States. I immediately saw that there was a real potential for personal growth coming back again and helping to learn about taking on a leadership position and maybe guiding other people through similar struggles. I've been looking at doing the Peace Corps, but I decided it couldn't hurt to do another year of AmeriCorps FEMA Corps, and just really get a better picture of what skill sets I could work on and bring if I applied to do the Peace Corps later on.
Okay, excellent. And what were the biggest differences between serving as a Corps member and serving as a team leader?
So there were a lot of differences and a ton of similarities between being a team leader and a Corps member. First off, there's a lot of hurry up and wait, and that was the same. But a difference was that while there was hurry up and wait and unknown expectations, I was the person being looked to set expectations from a team instead of just waiting to hear about them from a team leader. So there was a lot more frustration, I would say, in terms of having people expect me or me expecting myself to be able to deliver these things for team members. Something else, I didn't get to do a lot of project work. I was really tied up a lot with administrative things and just communicating back with staff. And sometimes I'd use that as an excuse. But oftentimes, there was a lot of juggling, and it was difficult and frustrating. Additionally, I felt a lot more isolated as a team leader. Some team leaders would do a lot of work to create really strong barriers between them and their Corps members. And I think I did some of that, but I also tried to really embrace an approach to friendship. I guess maybe someone who was on my team would have a better understanding if I succeeded at that or not. But I think learning how to draw those appropriate lines was something I tried to explore and didn't necessarily have a lot of success in, but I got a lot of lessons from as a team leader instead of being a Corps member. But for the most part, I wouldn't say they were terribly different positions. One, you don't have any authority. The other one, you appear to have authority, but you've really got very little authority over everybody else. You're in a position of trust.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experience with all of our listeners. And thank you to all of you listeners for tuning in. Music today was provided by YouTube. This is the Stuff You Should Know About podcast, and I am your host, Hadley. Until next time.